Hello there guys, and welcome back to the Common Sense Guy channel. Today we're still going to be continuing with some political incorrectness and downright authoritarianism of the UK government. Yeah, you heard me correct, the UK government. Today we're going to be covering the actual story of Lauren Southern and the fact that she has now, by claims of the Daily Mirror and such, been given a lifetime ban from the UK. So, I'm sure you're interested as much as I am in this story, so without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Right, so we have now gone on to the Daily Mirror, obviously .co.uk, and as you can see right here, far right, because obviously Lauren Southern is absolutely far right Canadian woman, banned from the UK after social experiment in Luton claiming Allah is gay, which surely in an inclusive religion, you know, a religion of peace and understanding and gratitude, you know, a modern religion, Allah would be gay, or at least would endorse being homosexual. Surely that would be something that you would pose as a question to people, wouldn't you? But no, it's broken up by the police. So obviously this goes back into the fact that Lauren Southern was detained at Calais after previous trips or an event she was hosting broken up by police. So we're going to go further down and actually go into the story. A far-right Canadian activist has been banned from entering the UK for disputing posters that said Allah is gay. And again, what's wrong with that? We do it for Christianity all the time. We're allowed to criticise Christianity and so on and so forth. Why isn't it not okay to criticise Islam? Why is it not okay? That's the only question I want to pose in the whole of this. But we'll get further down into the story, and it does get a little bit more spacey. Lauren Southern was detained trying to enter the UK at the port of Calais after her previous trip saw her distributing leaflets in Luton at an event broken up by police. Southern, who described her stunt as a social experiment of sorts, which is true, it is to show how people would react to the ideas that Allah is gay, not by trying to say that your God is gay, but, you know, in general trying to imply that maybe homosexuality is okay. You know, how we did with Christians when you were trying to get Christianity to, you know, love the gays and so on and so forth. After that, it has received a lifetime ban for distributing the racist material. Now, how is saying that Allah is gay a racist material? Surely that's a question in itself, is it not? Or if it's a statement, why is it a bad statement? And is it a bad statement to say that to everybody else? And should everybody else that says that, I don't know, God is gay, or Kushner is gay, or whatever, does it really matter what you say as any sort of God or deity as gay? Are we now going to be banned on words by saying that those type of people might be homosexuality or have homosexual tendencies? Is that a bad thing? Is it a good thing? I know one thing, it's something that I wouldn't want to have put onto anybody, and by that what I actually mean is I wouldn't want the fact of me trying to ban somebody by them saying, oh, do you think this God is gay? I'm not going to be bothered about it. Who gives a crap? And then we go on to more social justice warrior type stuff. The event saw her handed out leaflets that read, Allah is gay, Allah is trans, on a street in Luton town centre, quickly promoting a police response. Why? If it is a religion of peace, if it is a religion of tolerance and acceptance, and is compatible with the ideas of the left, as the left wants to protect it so much and so vigorously, why would it be so abhorrent for them to hear this when we would not give two iotas or craps about if we said this about our God or a Christian God or a Judaic God? We wouldn't care. Some people would, yes, mind you, but you wouldn't get a ban from a country. That in itself stems so much stupidity that I don't understand, and I don't see how that can even compute with people. The fact that from a leftist ideology, where this is what they believe in, this is their ideology, where all trans people, all pansexual people, everybody else is such as such, all these things happen, then why is it such a bad thing for the thing that they're protecting, Islam? Why isn't it that they cannot accept the same things? And yes, this was done as a social experiment to see how people would react, and she got the biggest reaction that she ever could have gotten, and that was being kicked out of a country and told that she can never come back. Now, this is a woman that has the highest press certificates to be able to say that she can go into the White House and record a speech off of the President of the United States, and yet she's being banned from our country. She has clearance to be able to listen and adhere to any sort of leading public figure, but yet she is being kicked out of our country. That in itself is just a ludicrous point to me. I just don't understand it. The video shows a police officer asking Southern to stop distributing the posters and leaflets because it could create the risk of public order offences and may lead to violence. Yes, the tolerant religion of peace would end up causing violence towards people distributing leaflets to talk about, is God gay or is God trans? That's the level of tolerance that this has. And the fact of the UK government as well. Don't just think that I'm not picking on them as well, because this is more of an indictment on the UK government than the religion. The religion, we've come to understand it as that type of thing, or at least parts of the people that are in it and use it. But the UK government in itself, that would ban somebody from actually using their freedom of expression to be able to point out the intolerances that come from a particular religion to make a political point, is absolutely ridiculous. To the point where, as I said before, this woman can speak to any or listen to any official in the whole of the world, basically, because she has the papers to be able to listen to the United States President. She can do that, but yet she can't come into this country to even visit. Anyway, Southern was not arrested during the incident in Luton, because obviously it was deemed that bad that she wasn't going to be arrested, but she was going to be rejected next time that she comes in. But was detained at the border in Calais under the Terrorism Act when she tried to re-enter the UK on March 13th. Wow. The Canadian rose to prominence after she attempted to launch a boat with other far-right activists, which was designed to hamper attempts to rescue refugees drowning in the Mediterranean. I didn't think that she was a part of that. I thought that was supposed to have been Martin Seliner. I thought that was supposed to be his thing. It's nice to see that everybody's lumping everybody in together with everything. The misinformation just seems to be absolutely amazing on this point, doesn't it? Branded Defend Europe, the project was a failure, spending just 1 week at sea of the cost of Libya. So it didn't do anything then. So it wasn't actually a success. It didn't do anything. It was absolutely pointless. Okay, well done. Southern was reportedly attempting to meet up with fellow right-winger Martin Seliner, who is a key figure in the anti-Muslim identitarian movement in his native Austria, when she was detained. Yeah, but that still doesn't mean that she was going to cause any problems with it. She's a reporter doing an interview. Does that mean that we should stop everybody from interviewing the far right? And if they do interview the far right, that they should be deported straight away? What kind of ludicrous ideologies and stupidities is this nowadays, where people cannot even talk or meet people? Ridiculous. Selena and another far right figure, Brittany Pettibone, were refused entry days before Southern when they attempted to land at Luton Airport. Yeah. Another reportist is not allowed to actually come to the country. A reportist? Another reporter. Yeah, we're leaving that in. Anti-racism charity Hope Not Hate supported Southern being banned from the UK, arguing that she had a history of extreme right wing views, including referring to Muslim as barbarians. I'm not 100% sure that I've actually ever heard her call them barbarians, but I'm sure if Miss Southern actually did, or sorry, Mr. Southern actually did, then I'm sure that he would have actually been probably being harassed. I'm sure it's not under the case of just calling them barbarians because she thinks that all Muslims are barbarians, because she does better reporting than that. But then again, who's really to argue when they won't even let people distribute leaflets saying that God might be gay, God might be trans, in an awareness to make certain people more acceptable towards certain things. Now, I find this quite interesting from Laura Southern. She likes to use the left's tactics quite often. For instance, with this whole point that she's been doing it to say to people, here is this religion that is supposed to be tolerant and is peaceful. I'm going to tell them that their God is gay and that their God is transsexual or trans, whatever word you want to use, and I'm going to see how that they're going to react, because obviously it is a piece of tolerance. The response, the police come running over going, we are getting lots of complaints at this moment in time of possible harm to you and your fellow people because they are offended by what you are peddling on a piece of paper. Yeah, that's thinking. Peddling on a piece of paper. And we banned her for that. Are we Nazi Germany? Are we Soviet Union Russia? No. We're the UK government. And we do everything under the guise of freedom of speech. Unfortunately, most authoritarian governments generally do it under that guise. Anyway, let's move on. Otherwise, we'll just be here forever. In her video, Southern goes on to claim that the UK is operating under blasphemy laws enforced by Sharia. Well, it's kind of hard to disagree with her when she's been banned for saying that a god is gay or a god is trans. It's kind of hard to argue with that, isn't it? In fact, it's very hard to argue that point. Southern adds, this highlights a double standard in Western societies. Why is it racist to say Allah is gay but not Jesus is gay? Now, a lot of people would say, oh, you're being Christian, you're trying to conflate the issues. No, it's a perfectly good point. It's a perfectly good point of trying to say, well, we can criticize Islam, or sorry, we can't. We're not allowed to do that. We get shot. You get put in prison for that. We're allowed to criticize Christianity or any other form of religion. Any other form of religion, actually, we're allowed to criticize without it being blasphemy or offending somebody so much that they can call the police on us. But as soon as we say anything about Islam, that's it. You're being racist, you're Islamophobic, you have no idea what it is, you haven't read the Quran, you ain't done this, blah, 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 blah. And you don't have to read something to be able to criticize it to begin with, because that's the purpose of freedom of speech. So if you have an opinion on something, you're allowed to express it. Now, if you're stupid and don't have the correct opinion, or the right opinion, then fair enough. But you're still allowed to express that opinion no matter how bigoted or how wrong it may be. Now, that's not me trying to say that picking on Islam is bigoted. I'm just trying to use a less point of view on this. And just trying to say, well, even if it is, it's still no reason to kick somebody out of the fucking country, is it? So, let's move on to this last little bit. Speaking at the time of Southern was banned from entering the UK Home Office, spokesperson said, Border Force has the power to refuse entry to an individual if it is considered that his or her presence in the UK is not conducive to the public good. Now, I want you to listen and take stock of that last little bit. That Border Force has the power to refuse entry to an individual if it is considered that his or her presence in the UK is not conducive to the public good. Now, if you consider that, as I just asked you to, how can you make a decision if you're going to be a benefit to the country or a hindrance to it? Now, the reason why I ask is, yes, with things like terrorism and people were terrorists, and yes, people with views of saying we're going to kill these people because of their race or ethnicity, I can kind of go, yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm kind of a free speech absolutist where I don't think it matters what speech you say. Because if the person can get their ideas out, they can be challenged. And the best way of destroying anything is by bringing it into the light so everybody can see how bad it is from the beginning. So when it comes to the point of actually deciding who can come in and out, who decides on that point? And is it a case of the freedom of speech to say, well, Allah is gay, or I want to talk to Muslims and show the intolerance that they have? Does that prove the point of the country has intolerance? Because then it's a case of they've decided that it's you that's bigoted, that's you that's the barbarian, Miss Southern, and not people that would attack you for expressing an opinion about a deity, about a god that may be gay, that may be trans. I mean, at the end of the day, how do we know? I mean, yeah, so what, it's not written in the book, but how do we know if you are going to go down that ideology of belief? At the end of the day, if they were put on the earth for particular reasons, then surely God put them on the earth for a reason, if you believe in that aspect of things. I just don't get the less protectionism on this. The reason why I don't get the idea of the less protectionism on this is because I can understand the reason why the right are against it, and most common sense people, and yes, pun intended. Simply because you can see the intolerance and how it doesn't necessarily blend well with the culture and the ideologies of the West. Now, that's not to say that within time that the ideology wouldn't change. I'm not trying to say that people shouldn't come into the country at all. I'm not on that subject for today. The idea of the subject is, for me today, is that you have the ideology that is supposed to be about all inclusiveness, about giving everybody rights, about being able to give everybody the same social contracts, the same social constructs, and being able to turn everybody from man and woman into one particular gender, to be able to turn everything into one particular thing. We're all equal, we're all one, as the left would say. Well, if it comes to that, then why would you protect a religion where you can't call their God gay, where you can't call their God transsexual, simply because it offends them? Well, surely if it offends them, doesn't that not mean that by definition that they would be offended by the homosexual people, by the transsexual people? Doesn't that mean that they wouldn't be tolerant to those type of people and maybe would actually hurt those people necessarily? I don't know. These are questions that seem to be completely missed by the left in general. Because if they can't stand somebody distributing a leaflet, how would they be able to stand somebody walking down the street with their hands being held together, or kissing in the middle of an open street? How would that sort of change from a Eastern culture where it's frowned upon and people would be thrown off of a rooftop for it? How does that then translate into a Western culture where we allow it, and don't just allow it, we encourage it because we know that we think that it's natural? Those two cultures can't really meld with a single generation, or even 2 to 3 generations. And I think that's where we need to stop this idea of protectionism. We need to bring Islam and the religion up to date. It needs to be reformed, same as Christianity was. But the main point of this video was the proven fact that the UK government is still being authoritarian and still isn't given actually any reason for actually banning anybody, rather than people using their own free speech to be able to go against the blasphemy laws that Lawrence Southern has quite rightly indicated that our country is operating under. And I think you can go further than that and say that even this is linked to the Telford and other grooming gangs that have been around in this country. The fact that if the police did come forward, they always say that they were scared of being called racist. Well, now maybe it's a case of they know they enforce blasphemy laws. so maybe they thought it would be inducted onto themselves. My voice is starting to go, so I'm going to leave this video here. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch and listen to this video. Thank you very much. I bid you farewell. I bid you adieu, and I'll see you all again real soon. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share this video. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.